Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting day in Pandemic 2, County Court at Law Number 6 in the Bexar County Veterans Treatment Court. This is Judge Wayne Christian. It is Wednesday, January 5th, 2022 at approximately 10:35 a.m. The cases I have set for hearing today are Plea, State of Texas versus Luis Garcia Robledo, cause 654151, represented by Mr. Alfonso Cabana. Mr. Cabana, are you ready to proceed at this time?
Good morning, Judge. Yes, we're ready to proceed.
Thank you. I have another plea, State of Texas versus Oliver Torres, cause 670826, represented by Mr. Paul Acevedo. Mr. Acevedo, are you ready to proceed at this time?
Yes, we are, Your Honor. I just need a second to get my client in the office.
Okay, we're going to take up the Spanish plea first, then we're going to take up your plea, so you got plenty of time to do that.
Thank you, Judge.
And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 motions to revoke community supervision or defer to adjudication and adjudicate and revoke community supervision. Cause number 662297, State of Texas versus David Botello, represented by Rose Zabel. Ms. Zabel, are you ready to proceed?
I am, Your Honor.
Cause number 665942, State of Texas versus Morel Julian, represented by Mr. Frank Sandoval. Mr. Sandoval, are you ready to proceed?
Good morning, Your Honor. Happy New Year. Yes, I am.
Thank you. And cause 626271, State of Texas versus Eric Schultz, represented by Miss Angela Blake. Is Miss Blake with us yet? She was in another hearing, I think.
She's in the felony, Your Honor, and the only one I don't have is Mr. Cisneros and Mr. Agnew. I'm texting him now.
Okay, all good. Well, let's start, if we could, with cause 654151, State of Texas versus Luis Garcia Robledo, which is going to need a Spanish interpreter. And let me punch my little button that y'all taught me how to do, and I'm on English. And we have our interpreter present, is that correct? Okay, great. Thank you very much. I see you. I'm looking for pretty women, and I see you. Golly, sorry. Okay, all good. This is cause 654151, State of Texas versus Luis Garcia Robledo. This is a plea. Let me see what we're doing here. Stand by. Probation, I guess. And I have various documents I need Mr. Robledo and Mr. Cabana to identify. The first one is entitled Defendant's Consent to Plea by Video Conference. This document is in English. In fact, Mr. Robledo, is this your signature on this document, sir?
Sí.
Thank you. And Mr. Cabana, as attorney for Mr. Robledo, is this also your signature on this document, sir?
It is, Your Honor.
Thank you. The next document I have is entitled Defendant's Waiver of Constitutional Rights and Court's Admonitions, that purports to have Mr. Robledo's signature on the back, effectively waiving certain constitutional rights he must waive in order to enter a plea before this court. I have one of these documents in English and one of these documents in Spanish. In fact, Mr. Robledo, is this your signature on each of these documents, sir?
Sí.
Thank you. By signing these documents, are you telling me that you've had enough time to either read these documents or have them read to you in their entirety? If you had any questions about what was on these documents, those questions were answered to your satisfaction by your attorney, Mr. Cabana, so that in signing these documents, you're telling me that you agree with and understand everything on these documents. Is that correct, Mr. Robledo?
Sí, señor.
Thank you. Mr. Cabana, as attorney for Mr. Robledo, have you had enough time to go over this case with him, and in your opinion, is he mentally competent?
Yes, Your Honor, he is, and I did go over the documents and the case with him.
Okay. Mr. Robledo, are you a United States citizen, sir?
No, señor.
Mr. Robledo, if you are not a citizen of the United States of America, a plea of guilty or nolo contendere for the offense charged may result in your deportation, your exclusion from admission to this country, or the denial of naturalization under federal law. Mr. Robledo, have you discussed with your attorney and been made aware of the mentioned consequences? And are you still now knowingly wanting to enter a plea to this offense?
Sí, señor.
Thank you. Mr. Cabana, as attorney for Mr. Robledo, have you had the ability to discuss with him the possible problems he may encounter with regard to his immigration status if he enters a plea to this crime?
Yes, Your Honor, I discussed it and he is aware of any immigration consequences.
And after your discussion with him, did he indicate to you he wanted to go forward with a plea bargain with the state today?
Yes, Your Honor, he did.
Thank you. Mr. Cabañez, attorney for Mr. Robledo, has the state fully comply with discovery for you on this case?
Yes, Your Honor, they have.
Okay, let's see where my cheat sheet is. Mr. Robledo, in cause 654151, to the charge of driving while intoxicated with a blood or breath alcohol content of 0.15 or higher. How do you plead, sir?
Culpable, señor.
And is there an agreement for Mr. Robledo?
Yes, Your Honor. The agreement is for a $0 fine plus court costs plus 121 days in the Bexar County Jail. Credit for time served, time and money to run concurrent. And if it pleases the court, we ask that this judgment be satisfied.
And Mr. Cabañez, is that your understanding of the plea agreement?
It is, Your Honor.
Mr. Robledo, in cause 654151, the court accepts your plea of guilty to the offense of driving while intoxicated with a blood or breath alcohol content of 0.15 or higher. I find you guilty. I sentence you to 121 days in the Bexar County Jail, $0 fine plus court costs, credit for time served, time and money to run concurrent, judgment satisfied. Anything further from the state or the defense on Mr. Robledo?
Nothing from the state.
Nothing from defense, Your Honor.
Good luck, Mr. Robledo. Thank you, Mr. Cabañez.
Thank you, Judge.
Pat, can we let our interpreter go now?
Yes, Your Honor, he was the only one.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chavez. Appreciate your help. All right. Mr. Acevedo, are we ready to proceed on Mr. Torres, please?
Yes, we are, Judge.
Thanks. This is cause 670826, State of Texas versus Oliver Torres. And represented by Mr. Paul Acevedo. The first document I have for Mr. Torres and Mr. Acevedo to identify their signatures on is entitled Defendant's Consent to Plea by Video Conference. In fact, Mr. Torres, is this your signature on this document, sir?
Yes.
Thank you. And Mr. Acevedo, as attorney for Mr. Torres, is this also your signature on this document?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Torres, the next document I have for you to identify your signature on is entitled Defendant's Waiver of Constitutional Rights and Court's Admonitions that purports to have your signature on the back, effectively waiving certain constitutional rights you must waive in order to enter a plea before this court. In fact, sir, is this your signature on this document also?
Yes.
Thank you. By signing this document, are you telling me that you've had enough time to either read this document or have it read to you in its entirety? If you had any questions about what was on this document, those questions were answered to your satisfaction by your attorney. So that in signing this document, you're telling me that you agree with and understand everything on this document. Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
Mr. Acevedo, as attorney for Mr. Torres, have you had enough time to go over this case with him? And in your
Yes, I
opinion,
have.
is he mentally competent?
Yes, Your Honor, I feel he is.
Thank you. Mr. Torres, are you a United States citizen, sir?
Yes.
Thank you. And Mr. Acevedo, has the state fully comply with discovery for you on this case?
Yes, I have, Your Honor.
Good. And state, you have a motion in this case, it would appear.
Yes, Your Honor, the state will be moving to waive and abandon the enhancement language in this information, and we will proceed as a Class B DWI first.
I have no objection.
No objection from the defense, that will be granted. And therefore, I've got two plea bargains on my sheet. Are we going with the first one or the second one, state?
We're going with the deferred, Your Honor.
All right, great. Mr. Torres, in cause 670826 for the charge of driving while intoxicated, first offense. How do you plead, sir?
No contest.
And is there an agreement?
Yes, Your Honor, there is.
Mr. Torres.
Yes, Your Honor, there is. It will be for 15 months deferred adjudication, $650 fine, court costs, 48 hours community service, DWI education, victim impact panel, the CAT-SNP program, Smart Start Mobile for half the term, and regular UAs.
And Mr. Acevedo, is that your understanding of the agreement?
That is our understanding, Your Honor.
Is Mr. Torres already active on a Smart Start mobile at 4 blows a day?
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Torres, in clause 670-826, the court accepts your plea of no contest to the offense of driving while intoxicated. First offense, although I have enough evidence to find you guilty, I'm going to withhold a finding of guilt. Place you on 15 months, deferred adjudication probation. It says a $650 fine plus court costs, 48 hours community service, DWI education, DWI victim impact panel, Community Alliance for Traffic Safety new intervention program, Smart Start mobile home interlock at 4 blows a day for half the term, which is 6 months. I'm sorry, it'd be 7.5 months, excuse me. Is that correct, State?
Yes, Judge.
And regular urinalysis test. Anything further from the state of the defense on Mr. Torres?
Nothing
Nothing
further, Your
further from
Honor.
the state.
Good luck, Mr. Torres. Thank you, Mr. Acevedo.
Judge, can I give Mr. Acevedo some information?
That's a great idea. Thank you.
Mr. Acevedo, is your client living in Bear County?
Yes.
Okay. He will receive an email or a text from the probation department, probably within the next 48 to 72 hours, advising him when he needs to go to orientation. He must show up for this orientation and sign his paperwork, or he's going to be right back here.
Okay.
If he doesn't hear from them, call 210-335-7446 and let them know that he was placed on probation today and he needs an orientation date.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
good
you.
luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, that takes care of our pleas for the day. Our first motion to revoke, what is it? A first amended motion to enter adjudication of guilt and revoke community supervision. State of Texas versus David Botello, cause 662-297. Ms. Zabel, are you ready to proceed in this matter?
I am, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Botello and Ms. Zabel, the first document I'm looking at is entitled Defendant's Consent to Motion to Revoke Hearing by Video Conference. In fact, Mr. Botello, is this your signature on this document, sir?
Sir, you're muted. You need to unmute.
You can ask the officer how to turn your microphone on again, Mr. Botello, if you want.
Okay.
I got it.
You got it. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, Mr. Botello, is this your signature on the document entitled Defendant's Consent to Motion to Revoke Hearing by Video Conference?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And Ms. Zabel, as attorney for Mr. Botello, is this also your signature on this document?
It is, Your Honor.
Thank you. The next document I have is entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal, which is marked, quote, is an adjudication of guilt following a deferred adjudication and the defendant has a limited right of appeal, unquote. In fact, Mr. Botello, is this your signature on this document also, sir?
Yes, sir.
And Ms. Zabel, as attorney for Mr. Botello, is this also your signature on this document?
It is, Your Honor.
Okay. And Ms. Zabel, my understanding is this is an uncontested first amended motion to enter adjudication of guilt and revoke community supervision. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. And representing the state is our Mr. Eddie Villarreal and Mr. Ross Lewis. Representing the Bexar County CCD is Ms. Susan Gross, who I will swear at this time. Ms. Gross, please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir, I do.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Botello on cause 662297 on the first amended motion to enter adjudication of guilt and revoke community supervision. How do you plead, sir?
Guilty.
Was that true, Ms. Zabel?
Hold
It
on.
is, Your Honor.
Court accepts the plea of true with an explanation. Ms. Gross, would you please advise the court and the parties of the status of Mr. Botello's probation in cause 662297?
Yes, Your Honor. His reporting was good up until November 3rd, 2021, which is the last time we saw him. He does have a new case that is pending. He has a new arson, which occurred on December the 12th, 2021. This is not alleged on the motion to revoke, as it did occur after the expiration of probation. This case expired on 12/2 of 2021. He has paid $300 towards his fees. He has a balance of $202. He has 2 positives for opiates and amphetamines and 1 failure to submit to drug testing. He was not assessed any classes at the time he was placed on probation. His arrest history includes contempt of court, inhalant abuse, possession and use, robbery, bodily injury, assault, bodily injury, resisting arrest, unauthorized use of a vehicle, forgery of a commercial instrument or check, theft 50 to 500, possession of a controlled substance, penalty group 1, less than 1 gram, possession of a controlled substance, penalty group 1, less than 1 gram. And of course, he is awaiting indictment on the arson of a habitation. This is his first violation report, first MTR, and his officer is recommending revocation.
Mr. Bell, what are you requesting, please?
Your Honor, we are requesting, my client has 28 days in credit on this case. We are requesting that he be revoked and given the credit for time served. I believe Mr. Lewis is going to request 30 days from the court, but we are requesting a JSAT at this point. He is still pending on the arson, as Ms. Gross stated. It is not indicted yet, and it does not appear that my client will be making his current bond. We have to do a bond reduction, but I don't foresee him getting out of jail in the immediate future.
And Mr. Botello is charged with criminal trespass on private property. Would that be a Class A state?
It's a Class B, Judge.
Class B, I got you. And do you agree, Mr. Bell?
I do, Your Honor.
State recommendation?
State recommendation is for revocation and 30 days in Bexar County Jail.
All right, well, we'll just wait.
Mr. Botello, on cause 662-297, the court accepts your plea of true with an explanation. I grant the state's motion to revoke your deferred adjudication. I adjudicate you guilty of the offense of criminal trespass on private property. I sentence you to 6 months in the Bexar County Jail. It says a $2,000 fine plus court costs, credit for time served, time and money to run concurrent. If it's applicable in the future, if we still have jurisdiction on it and he gets sentenced on a new case, I'll be happy to run it concurrent. Just keep that on the back burner. Anything further from the state or the defense of Mr. Botello?
What you think?
No, Your Honor.
Like
Nothing
Mr.
further.
Botello, thank you, Mrs. Bell. You're excused.
Thank you, Judge.
You bet.
Yes, sir.
Good luck, sir. All right, this is cause 665-942, State of Texas versus Myrell Julian, represented by Mr. Frank Sandoval. Mr. Sandoval, are you ready to proceed?
I am, Your Honor.
All right. And once again, Ms. Julian, this is cause 665-942. This is a motion to revoke community supervision. The first document I have for you to identify your signature on is entitled Defendant's Consent to Motion to Revoke Hearing by Video Conference. In fact, Ms. Julian, is this your signature on this document, ma'am?
I don't think he's here.
Well, I'm looking for Ms. Julian.
It's, and Your Honor, it's Mr. Julian.
Mr. Julian, I apologize. And I
Let me
still don't-
see, Your Honor,
that's
maybe
okay.
he's still in a break route. Yeah, let me move him out. I'm sorry let me try to get him out, Your Honor. I can't.
Yes, ma'am.
The one done or what, you need to wait?
Your Honor, same impression.
Hey, Mr. Botello, if you wouldn't mind, you can turn your microphone off. We're getting background noise, sir.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
yes, sir.
All right, Pat, I apologize. What's going on with Mr. Julian?
He's stuck in a breakout room. She went to go get him.
Oh, okay.
Look like a nice glass of Diet Dr. Pepper there, Judge.
Diet Pepsi, actually.
Ugh.
Hey, Pepsi. At the city mag court the other day, they had RC Cola.
Good stuff.
I didn't realize they still made RC Cola.
Oh, yeah.
Your Honor,
Yep.
Mr. Julian had to use the facilities. So as soon as he comes back, there he is. He's coming back now.
I've got you. Mr. Julian, good morning, sir. Can you hear us?
You need to unmute, sir. Okay,
Can you
Judge.
hear us, Mr. Julian?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Once again, let's start over. This is cause 665-942, State of Texas versus Morel Julian. This is a motion to revoke community supervision. Mr. Julian is representative of Mr. Frank Sandoval. On all cases represented on video conference today, the Assistant Criminal District Attorneys are Mr. Eddie Villarreal and Mr. Ross Lewis, and the Bexar County Probation Supervisor, Ms. Susan Gross, who's been previously sworn. Mr. Julian, in cause 665-942, the first document I need you to identify your signature on is entitled Defendant's Consent to Motion to Revoke Hearing by Video Conference. In fact, sir, is this your signature on this document, sir?
I can't see any visual right now at the time being.
Do you remember signing a document that said that you consented to having a video conference hearing on this case?
Previously, yes.
All right, that's great. Thank you, sir. And Mr. Sandoval, is this also your signature on this document, sir?
It is, Judge.
Thank you. The next document I have is entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal, which is marked, quote, is a revocation of the defendant's community supervision, and the defendant has the right to appeal the court's actions revoking the community supervision, but not the underlying conviction. Is this your signature on this document also, Mr. Julian?
Could you repeat that again?
Sure. This document is entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal, and it's marked, quote, is a revocation of the defendant's community supervision, and the defendant has a right to appeal the court's actions revoking the community supervision, but not the underlying conviction.
Could you give me more detail of the description of that?
Well, what this is a document that sets out your rights of appeal in case you don't agree with what the court does on your case today.
Okay.
And your attorney will explain that to you. Basically, it tells you up front what your right of appeal is, and I'll be happy to read it to you one more time if you'd like.
We can proceed.
All right, thank you.
My attorney will handle with me. We can proceed.
Is this your signature on this document also, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And Mr. Sandoval, as attorney for Mr. Julian, is this also your signature on this document?
It is, Judge.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Sandoval, my understanding is cause 665-942, motion to revoke community supervision, State of Texas versus Morel, Laurice Julian, is an uncontested motion to revoke community supervision. Is that correct?
It is correct, Judge.
All right. Mr. Julian, in cause 665-942 on the motion to revoke community supervision, how do you plead, sir?
True.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Gross, would you please advise the court and the parties of the status of Mr. Julian's probation?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Julian has performed very poorly on probation in that he has never reported. Last time we saw him was on August 31st, 2021, when he signed his conditions of probation. There have not been any payments made. He has a balance of $960 and is currently delinquent $275. We have no record of any of the 65 hours community service having been completed. He has had no drug tests as he has never reported. We have no proof of enrollment or completion of the stress or drug offender education program. This is his first violation report, first MTR. His arrest history includes possession of marijuana 0 to 2 ounces.
No, I never pertained marijuana. I used to smoke K2. I've never marijuana.
Okay, sir, hang on just a second. Let her finish reading all this list, and you, attorney, through your attorney, can certainly address anything you'd like to. Go ahead.
Drug test. Yeah.
Possession of a controlled substance, penalty group 1, less than 1 gram, unlawful carrying of a weapon, criminal trespass on private property. Excuse me, sir, please wait until I'm finished.
All right, go for it.
4, terroristic threats, possession of a controlled substance, penalty group 2, 0 to 2 ounces, criminal mischief 100 to 750, criminal trespass burglary of a building or vehicle, assault bodily injury, which is this case, resisting arrest, transportation, and a criminal trespass of private property. At this time, his officer is recommending that he be continued at weekly reporting and drug testing, and that he shows substantial compliance. His original fine was $150.
Ms. Gross, I'm kind of confused. Are you telling me that the adult probation officer at CSCD is recommending on a defendant who never reported that he should be continued and just told to report again? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, Your Honor, and that recommendation was made when the MTR was submitted in November.
Okay. Mr. Sandoval, what are you requesting?
Your Honor, good morning, and appreciate the opportunity to appear before you. Judge, in conferring with the state and with my client, we would respectfully request that the court honor an offer that's been made by the state. Mr. Julian wishes to go on with his life, start putting this history behind him, and if the court would consider revoking him at the term recommended by the state.
Okay, the defense and the state are clearly aware that the court is not bound by any agreement they may have made regarding motions to revoke community supervision. Is that correct, Mr. Sandoval?
It is, Your Honor, but given the totality of the circumstances, the interest of justice, and Mr. Julian's time spent in incarcerated, which will continue based upon the recommendation, we believe that justice will be served in allowing him the opportunity to put this matter behind him and, as they say, begin a fresh start.
Okay, I just want to make crystal clear on the record that both the defense and the state are clearly aware that any agreement they may have made regarding the outcome of this case, I am not bound by. I certainly will be happy to listen to recommendations from both the defense and the state and then make my decision. But is that your understanding of the law, Mr. Sandoval?
It is, Your Honor, and we appreciate the opportunity to appear before you and present this request.
Fair enough. And Mr. Lewis, is that also your understanding of the state of the law currently regarding these matters?
It absolutely is, Judge.
All right, fair enough. Okay, so I show Mr. Julian having approximately 50 days credit in the Bexar County jails. Everybody agree that's probably plus or minus what it is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and Ms. Gross, I don't have this in front of me. What was the original sentence for Mr. Julian on this case?
His original sentence was 12 months with a $150 fine, Your Honor.
I got it. All right, state recommendation, please.
State recommendation is for revocation, Judge, and 90 days in the Bexar County Jail.
Mr. Julian, in clause 665-942, the court accepts your plea of true. I grant the state's motion to revoke your probation. I sentence you to 1 year in the Bexar County Jail. Assess $150 fine plus court costs, credit for time served, time and money to run concurrent. Anything further from the state or the defense of Mr. Julian?
Nothing further.
And credit for time served.
Credit for time served, absolutely. And that's up to the sheriff, no problem at all. So anything further from the state or the defense of Mr. Julian? Mr. Sandoval?
No, Your Honor, I'm going to be placed in a breakout room with Mr. Julian.
Of course.
Okay, Ms. Blake, are you ready to proceed on cause number 626271, State of Texas versus Eric Schultz? Did I lose Ms. Blake again?
Ms. Blake, Your Honor, is in a breakout room with the ADA. She hadn't gotten a chance to
All
talk
right,
to her.
Mr. Cisneros, are you ready to proceed on cause 621088, State of Texas versus Michael Agnew?
Your Honor, I would like to speak to the prosecutor, if I may, in a breakout room. There's a couple of questions I have.
I'm going to let you do that today, but in the future, all this needs to be done before we actually get to the date of the hearing, okay?
Yes, sir. And let me apologize for not being in court this morning. I got a text message, an email from Pat, but it was the other Pat, that all cases except for today were rescheduled to the 10th. So that's why I told Mr. Agnew that we were rescheduling, and it's not his fault, it's my fault, Your Honor.
Not a problem. You fixed it. You're here. We're all happy. No problem.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so Ross, you can go into 2, and I will put Mr. Cisneros in 2.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna go on a 5-minute break.
Okay, Mr. Julian, Mr. Julian, you need to press a button that says join so you can talk to your attorney. There should be a button that says join breakout room 5. Hit that. He's waiting for you in there to talk about what happened. Okay, good.
Pat, I'm gonna step away for a minute.
Okay. Angela, just before you came back, he called for you, but he went and took a break because you didn't get here just right. So I'm sorry.
How dare he? No.
I know.
So you want me to go? I can go back to my other courts too.
Well, he just was taking a little break. I don't know if he said a 5-minute break.
Okay. So can you tell me how many days Mr. Schultz has in jail? Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, he has 3 days. But he has a warrant, so be sure and remind the judge to recall that warrant, whatever it is, okay?
Okay. And it's is it a warrant on an amended MTR?
That I don't know. I'm assuming it is.
Okay.
I'm assuming.
Ms. Blake, welcome back. I know you're in another court. We'll take you up first if you wish when Mr. Cisneros, as soon as we get a DA back from breakout room.
Sure.
There's
one.
Eddie. Eddie's
Oh.
here.
Eddie, are you ready to proceed on Mr. Agnew's case? Excuse me,
Yes.
Mr. Schultz's case.
Yes, Judge, we're ready.
All right. This is cause 626-271, State of Texas versus Eric Schultz. This is,
Your Honor, we need Susan.
oh, we don't have Susan. Stand by. Ms. Gross, if you can hear us, we welcome you back.
I'm here, Judge.
All right, ready to proceed? Let's start over. This is cause 626-271, State of Texas versus Eric Schultz. This is a second amended motion to enter adjudication of guilt and revoke community supervision. Mr. Schultz is represented by Miss Angela Blake. Once again, our assistant criminal district attorney on this case is going to be Mr. Eddie Villarreal, and the Bexar County CSCD supervisor is Miss Susan Gross, who I remind is still under oath. The first document I need Mr. Schultz and Miss Blake to identify their signatures on is entitled Defendant's Consent to Motion to Revoke Hearing by Video Conference. In fact, Mr. Schultz, is this your signature on this document, sir?
Yes, sir, it is.
Thank you. And Ms. Blake, as attorney for Mr. Schultz, is this also your signature on this document?
Yes, Judge.
Thank you. My understanding, Ms. Blake, is that this is an uncontested second amended motion to enter adjudication of guilt and revoke community supervision. Is that correct?
If I could talk to my client to make sure what he's agreeing to plead true to or not.
Sure. We all go to a breakout room with them, Pat?
Hold a minute. I'm sorry. She needs to go into a breakout room with her client.
Yes, please.
Okay, so Angela, you can go back to 1 and I will send Mr. Schultz in 1. Mr. Schultz, you should see a button that says join, a blue button that says join. There you go. He's looking for it. Okay.
Eddie can write a book when this is over called Pandemic DA.
That would be interesting. That'd be an interesting book, but
Eddie, thank you for getting those informations, especially the ones that are set for the 11th. I wanted to keep as many as we could on those.
okay. Yeah, I have a bunch. I should be going to the office tomorrow, so I'll submit them then.
If you could send me a list of the ones that you do have, just if you give me the name, it's sufficient.
You want them now? I have a list of it here.
Okay, that way I know which ones to keep and which ones I need to reset and give them a little bit more time.
Okay, you want me to email you or I can tell you now?
Yeah, just email me. No,
Email you?
email
Okay.
me that. I'm doing the docket right now, and that's why I want to know. And I can get that done.
Okay, we'll do.
We're having some heavy days now, making up for the holidays. So
Holiday. Yeah.
tomorrow's a lot. The 12th is a lot. The 13th, not so much yet. So we'll start working on the 13th.
I think I'm gonna be gone the 9th through the 14th for my prosecutor school in Austin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, baby prosecutor school.
Baby prosecutor school, yes, sir.